Good morning. Good morning, fellow people. Sorry, we are a minute late. A lot of things to do. Good morning. This is Department of Career Services, where our goal is to help our students and interested people on their journey through this life. It is, as I said, 6:01 on a Friday morning, December 19th, 2025. We are here in southern Nevada, southwestern Nevada. Pahrump or Pahrumpertucky, you choose. And yeah, it's Friday, big day, a lot of stuff going on. Our theme of today is How to Start a Movement by Derek Sivers, TED Talk, back in, let's see, oh, I don't have it handy, but this is where we take the stuff that we've done Monday through yesterday, breaking it apart. How do we become successful outside our skull-sized kingdom? Answering the two questions: who am I? Why do I behave the way I do? Breaking it down to a neuroscience approach to success. So what does that mean? That means we go down into a subcellular level, down to neurotransmitters, to dendrites, to synapses, et cetera, et cetera. Tomorrow, our focus is G School. Uh-oh. Excuse me. G School. What did Jesus actually say? This is about why thoughtful people left and how to find your way back. Why you left and how to find your way back to the church. That's tomorrow. Today, neuroscience. What's actually happening in your brain on a physical, chemical level, not a psychological level. This is below that. Where are the thoughts stored in your brain type of thing? In the cells. What cells? Neurons. How does it work? Okay, so that's the approach of this course. How to answer the two questions. Who am I? Why do I behave the way I do? The belief that if we can answer those two questions with a reasonableness, we can dial in who we need to be right now and thus be more effective. Recognizing that we start with beliefs. Those beliefs, when there's a stimulus, external or internal stimulus, those beliefs plus stimulus trigger the release of chemicals within us. Those chemicals cause us to feel particular ways. Those feelings affect our behavior affects the outcome, and the outcome tends to support our initial belief. Confirmation bias. Okay, so that's what we're doing. That's introduction overview. Week number 2 last week was my skull-sized kingdom. What's going on in my brain? How does all of that work with my neurons, neurotransmitters, reticular activating system, my amygdala, etc.? How does it work? This week is, now that I know how it works on me, if I peer outside of my skull-sized kingdom, what do I see? I see other people who think the world revolves around them, but I know it revolves around me. So, but I need those people to help me become successful, to help me get money, so I can have meaning and purpose in my life. Meaning, act such that everything I do matters, and purpose is service to others, focused on the categorical imperative as the best way to operate in this world. Meaning, simplest formulation or a simple formulation is imagine that what I think about doing is a law and everybody had to do it. If everybody did it, would the world be a better place? And the answer is yes. If everybody followed Jesus' 3 commandments, would the world be a better place? Love God with all your heart and mind and soul, and love one another as I have loved you, and make disciples of other people. Would the world be a better place? And the answer is yes. Okay, if you believe you have a transcendent soul, boom. Okay, that's it. In 5 minutes, we've covered the whole thing, except not so fast, George Banks. Not so fast, because this week we're breaking down how to get other people to help us. Monday, we started with David Logan from USC, the first TEDx talk, according to him, which probably means it's true. First TEDx talk, tribal leadership. And his conclusion from 10 years of study 10 years ago was people form tribes. Birds fly, fish swim, people form tribes. We're social animals. We get in groups of people that have similar likes. Or as Seth Godin said, people like us do things like this. Okay? Except not all the tribes have this or function at the same level. Some are more productive, more efficient than others. So he's got it broken down into 5 categories, which I'll go whoosh, like that. And I will compare opposites. So level 1 tribe, stage 1 tribe, life sucks. Level 5, life is great. Level 4, my life sucks. Level 2, my life sucks. Level 4, we're great. So we went from life is great to we're great. We went from life sucks to my life sucks. And then level 3, stage 3 is I'm great, you're not. Some little footnotes here. Advertisers go for the people at stage 3. That's the prime spot, stage 3. I'm great, you're not. I'm always competing with you. I have to be better than you. So I need the car, I need the watch, I need the this, I need the that. Okay? When you get to stage 4, you become more Buddhist, let's say. Things become less important. Material possessions become less important. Maybe you're moving up Maslow's hierarchy. Level 2, my life sucks. Now, if I'm motivated, I will be a good consumer because I will do the things to make my life not suck. So the idea is if I had that, my life sucks, but if I had that, my life wouldn't suck, but I don't, so it does, as David Logan would put it. Level 1, life sucks. That is the mentality of people who are shooters, mass shooters that kill other people. And their rationale is, hey, life sucks. Don't blame me. Life sucks. David Logan says it's the culture of gangs and prisons. And these are not people who group together. They fall out of other tribes, they fall out of other tribes and they just kind of pool and they have the same kind of interest and look at the same things on the internet. But they're not together as a unified thing because then they would be moved to stage 2. My life sucks. I don't have stuff. Okay, so that's what we've got happening today. Okay, so that was David Logan. So, and his takeaway advice for us was join a tribe, nudge it forward. If you want to be a leader, join a tribe, nudge it forward. If you want to have people help you, join a tribe, nudge it forward. Tuesday, we learned how to nudge. 4-step process by Seth Godin. 1, find part of the status quo to change. Find something to change. 2, tell a compelling story. 3, connect the true believers. And equally important, ignore the non-true believers. 4, lead them. Day 3, Simon Sinek. How do you tell a compelling story? And this is the most important thing. How do you tell a compelling story? The compelling story is about why we need to change the status quo. If you get people to agree we need to change the status quo, and you say, who's coming with me? Like Jerry Maguire, who's coming with me? And then you get into the what you're going to change and how you're going to change it. But the compelling story is why we need to change the status quo. And we learned today from Derek Sivers, the leader, the guy who was a lone nut that becomes a leader once he gets his first follower. He's just telling the story of why we need to change the status quo. His first followers are bringing in the other followers. Day 4 was the story before the story that you tell people to get them to feel the way you feel, to see the world the way you see the world. So when you tell them why we need to change the status quo, you're bonded. They see the world the way you do. They're not skeptical. They're not skeptical. You don't say, here's my ideas. Let me tell you about my ideas, for people who are not bonded with you because they already know everything and your ideas are wrong before giving them a open hearing. You don't want to do that. It's going to go nowhere. Bond, move forward. Here's how I see the world, then move forward. Okay, today, again, Derek Sivers, how to start a movement. How to start a movement. And what he really focuses on are the first followers. We're going to come back to that, but first we're going to get advice from an 80-year-old. Become the most positive and enthusiastic person you know. How's that for advice? Become the most positive and enthusiastic person you know. Obviously, it's very good advice. It's obviously very good advice. Why wouldn't you want to be the most positive and enthusiastic person you know? Why would you want to be the person who feels like my job is to point out all of the things that could go wrong? That's my job. I am the snowflake. I am the Karen. I am the glass is half empty person. Or half full. I can never remember which is the good one, which is the not good one. Okay. Next, okay, so be the most enthusiastic person you know. Seth Godin, bottomless, bottomless, bottomless. I'll try it again. Bottomless. Some pits are infinitely deep. Perhaps that, once addressed, always gets worse. N+1. Right. No matter how bad it is. There's Nolan Bushnell once said to me, you get, when you've hit rock bottom and you roll over into the gutter, but then, oops, nope, I just went into the storm drain. For some folks, the acquisition of money or power are like this. A little leads to a desire for more. Other problems have known solutions. The tank only holds 8 gallons, and then you can move on to filling the next one. A third ice cream cone isn't as good as the first one. Effort leads to satisfaction. It pays to decide which sort of hole we're trying to fill. Interesting. What kind of hole are we trying to fill? That reminds me of, I think it was Kaiser Sand and Gravel used to have a slogan for their concrete. Find a hole and fill it. Right. I could go many directions with that, but let's go back to bonk. We'll go back to the worksheet. Okay. So today, important thing is how to start a movement. This is kind of like we've been building to this. We started with Dave Logan, again, who said, join a tribe, nudge it forward. Seth Godin, here's how you nudge, 4-step process. And we go to Simon Sinek telling us how to tell a compelling story, because that's what you need to do. That's the first most important thing. Tell a compelling story, but you have to then and connect the true believers, but you have to ignore the non-true believers. And that is the hard part, because we want to convince them that we're right. We don't want to just say, okay, well, you're an idiot, but okay, you're entitled to your belief. You're wrong. You're an idiot, but okay, I'm not going to argue with you. Let's agree to disagree. You're wrong. Move on. Dust off your sandals and go to the next town. That's the hard part. And that's probably why it's in the gospel. It's probably why Jesus said it, because it's not intuitive. Like in his instructions, he doesn't say, greet the people, shake their hand, pat them on the, he doesn't say any of that, because that's the obvious intuitive stuff. If they don't see it the way you see it, dust off your sandals and go to the next town. Don't stay in a place where you're not welcomed, where they're not receptive. Okay, so then we move to Wednesday, but it's about telling a compelling story. Wednesday, Simon Sinek. Here's how you tell a compelling story. The story is about why we need to change the status quo. That is it. Because the people who see the world the way you see the world, they will get it. How you're going to change it, what you're going to change, that's secondary to the idea of we need to change the status quo. And then the next most important thing is David Phillips, The Story Before the Story. The magical science of storytelling. Right. It's magical because of what happens once neurotransmitters are released. Poof! You release endorphins, people laugh. You release oxytocin. They want to hug you. Their heart goes out. Serotonin, they're proud. That's a big Simon Sinek one. Dopamine, they want to know what's happening next, etc. They want to do something. Okay, so cutting to the end, David Phillips says, okay, think of all of the stories that you have. Write them down. Get them so they're tight. Now you have a list of stories. Match the neurotransmitters with the stories. This story here could be, well, I've got neurotransmitters, I've got endorphins, it's kind of funny. I could go two ways with this story. I could go on the disgust way. I say to my waiter, or I notice when my waiter brings my steak to the table, I notice his thumb is on my steak. Right? Oh, gross. How ridiculous. How whatever. Or I could focus on the bonding part of the story, the oxytocin serotonin part of when I ask him, why is your thumb on my steak? And he said, so it doesn't fall on the floor again. Pause, smile. Ah, it's a joke. Okay. So a story could go different ways depending upon what part of it you stress. And a really good story would be to take them through a stream or a river, a torrent of different neurotransmitter releases. First, I'm going to get them interested. Then I'm going to tell them, like, I don't usually eat steak. I'm not a big steak person, but if it's a special occasion, I will. Then I'll describe the steak. I like a New York steak. Medium, pink all the way through, no blood. Peppercorns maybe on top, maybe a little bit of butter on top, just melting. Like a baked potato on the side with all the fixins, including the bacon. And I like broccoli with hollandaise sauce or something on it. So I go into that. Now what am I doing? I'm getting their ghrelin going. They can picture the food. They savor the food. They like the food. They see it in their brains like, yeah, that tastes good. And then it's the next part. And when the waiter brought it to my table, I noticed his thumb was on my steak. Ugh. Right? how gross. What? Huh? Oh man, just natural response will always happen. Pause, wait. And I said to him, hey, why is your thumb on my steak? Right now I'm resisting and protesting. I'm engaging with this guy. And then he says, so it doesn't fall on the floor again. and uh, and then the reaction of people is, wait, what? Is this a joke? Smile. Yeah, it's a joke. It's bonding. So that's the key. Bonding. That's the perfect example. Bonding. So we're out of time. It's Friday. Let's make something happen. Let's make the world a better place. And with that, I'm going to say and cut. Shivas and shalom. Om, 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 om.